Listening to the radio late at night during summer holidays, Ghibli style 90s nostalgia Australia, who remembers this feeling? It's a hot Australian summer day in the late 1990s. The sun had finally gone down, but the warmth was still hanging in the air. The school holidays seemed endless. No homework. No responsibilities. Just another carefree summer night stretching out in front of you. As the evening slowly faded into darkness, the neighborhood became quieter. The sounds of lawnmowers disappeared. The last cricket game in the street came to an end. Parents called their kids inside. Porch lights flickered on, and one by one, the houses settled into the night. You'd head to your room, maybe after watching a little TV. Maybe after playing outside until the streetlights came on. Maybe after spending the whole day riding your bike with friends. The details were different, but the feeling was always the same. The night felt full of possibilities. You'd open the fly screen window just enough to let the warm breeze inside. The curtains would move gently. A ceiling fan would spin overhead. And somewhere beside your bed sat a small radio. Nothing fancy. Just a simple radio, but somehow it felt important. You'd turn the dial slowly. Static. More static. Then suddenly. Music. A song you hadn't heard in weeks. A song that seemed to belong to that exact moment. Back then, music wasn't available instantly. You couldn't search for it. You couldn't stream it. You couldn't skip ahead. You listened. You waited. And when your favorite song finally played, it felt like a reward.
Good day, night owls.
Outside,
It's after
the world
midnight here in
seemed different
Australia.
at night. Streetlights cast
Just you,
long
me,
golden
and the summer
shadows across.
sounds.
Empty roads. Eucalyptus trees swayed softly in the darkness. The air carried that familiar smell of summer. Sometimes you could hear crickets. Sometimes distant traffic. Sometimes a dog barking, somewhere far away, and sometimes nothing at all. Just silence. The kind of silence that's almost impossible to find today. Lying there in the dark, listening to the radio, your imagination could wander anywhere. Maybe you thought about tomorrow. Maybe you thought about friends. Maybe you wondered how much longer the holidays would last. Or maybe you didn't think about anything at all. You simply listened, and that was enough. Some nights a radio host would begin talking between songs. Their voice sounded calm, comfortable, like they were speaking directly to you. Didn't know who they were. You'd never meet them, but somehow they felt familiar. Like an old friend, keeping you company while the rest of the world slept. There was something special about knowing other people were awake too. Somewhere out there, another kid was probably listening to the exact same station. Another bedroom, another suburb. Another summer night. Connected by the same music, the same voices. The same feeling. Back then, life felt slower. The moments weren't trying to compete for your attention. There was no endless scrolling. No notifications. Every few seconds. No pressure to constantly look at a screen. Just simple moments. Small moments. The kind that seemed ordinary at the time, but years later became unforgettable. The glow of a radio. The sound of a favorite song. The breeze through an open window. The shadows moving across the ceiling. The feeling of staying awake just a little longer because you didn't want the night to end. And somehow, those memories stayed with us. Not because anything extraordinary happened, but because life felt real. Present. Unrushed. Those summer nights weren't about excitement. They were about comfort. About feeling safe. About knowing tomorrow would be another day of freedom. Another day to ride your bike. Meet your friends. Watch cartoons. Explore the neighborhood. And when the next night arrived, you'd do it all again. Open the window. Turn on the radio. Listen to the music and let your imagination drift. Looking back now, it's amazing how such a simple moment could leave such a lasting memory.
From
A
someone
small
who misses
bedroom,
you with
a
all
warm
their
Australian summer
heart.
night,
Sweet dreams, little
a softly glowing radio, and a kid who had nowhere to be except right there in that moment. Maybe that's why we remember it. so clearly because it wasn't really about the radio dot, it was about how life felt. The freedom, the simplicity, the quiet, happiness, the feeling that summer would last forever. And
It's
even though
late,
those
and the night
nights are long
whispers its
gone,
secrets. Welcome
the
to our
memories are
midnight
still
story.
here,
Our
waiting
tale
for a
begins in a
familiar
quiet town where shadows
song,
dance under
a
the moon,
familiar
a
sound,
place where
or a
anything can
familiar
happen.
feeling dot to bring them all rushing back. So if you remember listening to the radio late at night during summer holidays, dot, if you remember those warm Australian nights before smartphones and social media, then this memory belongs to you too, dot, and for a few minutes, dot, maybe. It feels like you're back there once again, listening, dot, dreaming, dot, and watching another perfect summer night drift by.
Good evening, night owls. A beautiful, quiet night out there. Up next, a classic tune to keep you company. This is the Midnight Hour on ABC.